The Scarlet Letter is an unforgettable, powerful, controversial tale of morality, truth, virtue, and sin that plays out against the backdrop of a judgmental 17th century Puritan colony. The novel became the first and greatest success for author Nathaniel Hawthorne. Hawthorne was intrigued by his own genealogy that included Puritan settlers and was influenced not just by the repressive nature of puritanical theocracy, but in the transcendentalist movement and his studying of pre-American colonial life. Hawthorne worked in a 19th century custom house in Salem, Massachusetts, and after being fired, wrote The Scarlet Letter. It was an immediate success after its first publication in 1850 and was a bestseller, with its print run of 2,500 books selling out in less than 2 weeks. While being recognized by many as a masterpiece that thrust Hawthorne into the spotlight of literary fame, the popularity of The Scarlet Letter did not make Hawthorne rich. He remained economically sustained by working government jobs. Early reviews praised The Scarlet Letter for its tragic power and subtle knowledge of character. But some critics complained about Hawthorne's biting personal criticism of work at the custom house, and many religious leaders linked the book's content, shocking at the time, to assumptions about an author who must have lacked a moral compass completely. However, the scandalous reputation of The Scarlet Letter did not deter readers one bit, and it remains influential and beloved to this day, practically 2 centuries after its publication. At the onset of The Scarlet Letter, an unnamed author, assumed to be Hawthorne himself, finds an embroidered Scarlet Letter A and an old manuscript documenting its story while he's working in a New England custom house. After changes in political regimes see Hawthorne being terminated from his position, he commits to writing the story of The Scarlet Letter, a representation of the romance genre. Now, Hawthorne marks the distinction between romance and the novel as being about taking creative liberties with tales of the human heart versus just telling the truth as clearly and plainly as can be in order to document the human experience. Hester Prynne is in jail for adultery, and while she's imprisoned, she births a child, Pearl. She's forced to stand on a scaffold with her baby, publicly shamed, but she refuses to name her lover, who turns out to be Arthur Dimmesdale, a charismatic young minister. She has been spared the death penalty because her husband, a doctor who had remained in England while Hester established life in the colony, planned to meet up with his wife after she had moved to America. But he disappeared and was presumed dead. Instead, he had been captured by Native Americans, learning the ways of their medicine. However, this husband arrives at the Massachusetts colony as Hester is on the scaffold, but he hides his identity, later taking the surname Chillingworth, becoming the local doctor, and pursuing Dimmesdale, who he suspects is the father of Hester's child. Hester keeps custody of Pearl and gains the town's respect over the course of 7 years. Ironically, Dimmesdale becomes more revered and respected as a minister as he is eaten away by guilt over committing adultery. Dimmesdale sickens from this guilt, clutching periodically at his heart and becoming weaker and weaker. Chillingworth moves in with Dimmesdale under the auspices of helping as his doctor, but in fact is there to torture him with guilt and shame. Dimmesdale creeps out one night and sees Hester and Pearl, beckoning them to join him on the town scaffold, a symbol of both guilt and shame, but also a platform for characters to stand tall upon. A meteor leaves an A streaked in the sky for all to see. Hester confronts Chillingworth, who won't repent. She tells him she never truly loved him. His relentless tormenting of Dimmesdale has corrupted him with evil, and he admits he has become a fiend. Hester tells Dimmesdale of Chillingworth's identity. The two plot to leave the colony, starting a new life together with their daughter Pearl. Though this tears Dimmesdale apart emotionally, he decides ultimately to leave imminently. At the climax of The Scarlet Letter, Dimmesdale confesses that he is Pearl's father publicly at his big election day sermon, the biggest and most successful of his entire life, and he tears open his shirt, showing the symbol that's been hinted at more and more strongly all throughout The Scarlet Letter. Then he dies there on the scaffold. Now, it's never exactly clear what was on his chest. A letter he carved himself? A mark brought on by guilt and shame? Nothing at all? Shortly after this, Chillingworth dies, leaving a fortune to Pearl, making her America's wealthiest heiress. Hester and Pearl leave Boston, but Hester later returns, dies, and is buried next to Dimmesdale, and an A marks the grave for the two of them to finally be united in death, under the symbol that publicly and privately marked their lives. The Scarlet Letter was and continues to be a huge success. But like the content of the story itself, it remains controversial, often ending up on both essential American novel lists and banned book lists in turn. Hawthorne's most successful work, while a timestamp of life in early puritanical colonial America, remains a timeless look at private and public truth, institutional and human morality, the nature of evil itself, and the powers of redemption and revenge.